Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 31st, 2024 at approximately 4:32 p.m. PST. Now I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies that I personally utilize to gauge virtually every move I do make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people over the years, depending on their own personal level of effort. Now, before I get into things, okay, we are looking at literally self-worth, building your self-esteem, which, by the way, does encompass self-confidence and boundaries. And with that in mind, before I get into that, let's do one little detail here. Scroll up to the top, and we have Woo. How you doing? You're in with the gold. Glad you could make it. I know your day's always hectic, but am happy to see you here. Now, Farrah Hall, welcome aboard. You actually come in with the silver. And with that in mind, since I haven't seen you in here before, welcome aboard. Things are changing in the world at large. Ellie Moon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I know you're always hectic. Now, just looking through here. And Farrah, I see you've just got your master's in psychology. Okay. Lord knows we need some qualified people there. But that being said, just remember, instinct works better, in my opinion. Instinct works better than education in some cases. What I have found out, though, which is really kind of entertaining, is there isn't a person alive in any species that isn't a child. Okay. From my experience, if you've got a mother and a father, whether you're a natural conceived or a vat job, you're still a child. Now, I'm going to open a real can of worms here in a couple of moments. But first of all, who do we got here? Joe, you are in with the bronze. Welcome aboard. That's just terrible, Ellie. Mentioned that I figured Ellie was busy, and she goes, busier than a chameleon in a bag of Skittles. Usually I usually go the route of, as useful as a screen door on a submarine. So all in all, we are looking at things getting changed. Now, here's the thing, just a heads up, because I don't watch the news much. But if you look at the top of the chat room, there is a set of rules up there, not the least of which, is definitely we do not do any political lobbying. We don't talk about anybody's belief being better than the next, except in one case. Okay, and here's where it boils down. From what I gather, Trump just got convicted in the States on a number of different counts. With this in mind, this place is not a place to discuss political viewpoints. So just to be clear, Steve, you are in with honorable mention. Well done. Now, just to be clear, I've already given the heads up. Anybody starts deciding they're going to talk about the political ramblings of the United States or any other country, I don't care. Okay, this is not the forum for it. So just to give people a heads up, my moderators have already been told. Word one gets mentioned, it won't be a question of, we're not, we're going to warn you. The warning's simple. First warning is you get popped out. Okay, yes, I know that's probably a little harsh. I've never been known for being subtle. That said, what we're looking at is self-esteem. Okay, your self-worth, your self-esteem. So we start with the first tool. And I know many of you have seen this already. But this funny little sign. This funny little sign says, I am worth it. These are the four most powerful words in combination in any language I've ever come across. Okay, so if you haven't done so already, take these four words and do as I've done. Now, obviously, I've got a big one here. That sits over on the side. But I've got the same sign right above my computer, one on my fridge and one on my front door before you even come through the door. This is critical to building your self-worth. You know, the nice part about it, the nice place about it is that as you build your self-worth, your self-esteem, self-confidence, we're going to cover all of that over the course of the next week. Self-worth literally boils down to how you see you. Okay, those four words. I am worth it. Regardless of what anybody tells you. Okay, that's the four that you got to tell yourself, or that would be very beneficial. Renee, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, and I'm really happy for that, Renee. The reality is, if everybody could get their self-esteem up, we wouldn't have as much of a problem as we have right now. But self-esteem starts with looking in the mirror and going, okay, what I've got to say is of import. Now, when I was growing up, I did not have enough sense of self to even tell my parents what I was going through. Okay, and this was all confirmed later in life. But take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you happy with what you see? Okay, that's one of the first things we look at. Like, I take a look at it, I'm going, my hair could probably use a little bit of a straightening out. Of course, it's amazing it's amazing what can happen if I just run a comb through it. Today was a little bit of a scramble. But whatever you're content with, this is where you start. If you've got something you're not content with, self-worth boils down to this. Take everything that is stopping you from feeling as though you've got at least some control over your life. Okay, and alter it so you've got that control. Yeah, I appreciate that, Steve. Steve Knox is just saying, this is a breath of fresh air compared to all the bombardment of politics, religion, and whatever else gets the blood pressure up. I'll tell you, technology does it for me, but that's another issue. First thing you look at, and again, we're going to start right in the middle of it. When you look at self-worth, take a look at the way your house is laid out, starting with wherever you work on your finances. Understand, self-worth is not a question of finance. It is a question of how you feel about you. Now, I know Renee has said she feels her self-esteem is in good shape, which is great. The odd part about it, I talk about it, I still struggle with it. You would be amazed how many times I've looked at what I'm doing going, really, is this actually helping? And don't go anywhere with that. I already get it. Every time I mention it, somebody says, oh, what you're doing is working. It's helping people. I've got no interest in shutting it down anymore. All kinds of interest in getting a new computer, but that's going to have to wait. What you got to realize is the way you look to yourself is more important than the way you look at anybody else. The way you carry yourself, how you speak, the whole 9 yards. 3 karmic laws to follow. Be true to yourself first. Get an image in your head of what you feel you would like to portray. Okay, now I look in the mirror going, I am physically not as fit as I'd like to be. I would like to have all of that running smoothly. That's incredible, LA. I'm glad it works. I've talked to a few people that have said the same thing. And this is why every one of the books that I put out. Where is it? Grab that and bring it down here. Yes, I've got my bed all covered in office work. But that's normal for me. Every single one of the books that I sell, that I published, all get a neat little bookmark. Now, because of the glare, I don't know if you can read that, but that's Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. This is the first book that I actually wrote regarding changing the way I was looking at my life. On the back of it, though, is those same 4 words. That's how now, like I said, I've got them all over the place here. And, it does help. It's a constant reminder. Now, of course, let's go with the obvious. Why put it in why the board? That was just a creative project. Right above my right above my computer, I've got it there so that when I'm questioning whether what I'm doing is actually making a difference, it helps remind me that it does work. Now, why the fridge? Well, the fridge is simple. Of all the things in the kitchen that everybody seems to look at, it's the fridge. That's why people put their kids' paintings or kids' drawings or poetry or whatever on the fridge, because it's the one appliance that everybody that goes into a kitchen seems to look at. That said, this being put on your fridge at eye level, and whether you put it eye level or not is up to you. But having this on the fridge every time you go into the kitchen, and let's face it, most of us go into the kitchen a lot. So every time you go in, you get the reminder. Anybody coming into your house gets the same reminder. And this is exactly why I put it on my front door. I live in an apartment building, and it was literally less than 2 days after I put it up that somebody walking down the hall in the apartment actually commented on the fact that it helped him. It reminded him that, yeah, he did have some value, especially given what he was going through at the time. So when we look at self-worth, what image are you striving to portray? Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now I know your book is on the way. I had another order for Race of the Worlds come out, that came in. It went out this morning. So all in all, things are moving quite nicely. The reality of it is, when you've got, obviously everybody's got to work. You got to do something to generate an income. Now, here's the kicker. I'm now on disability. But to that end, that's part of what my motivation is for keeping doing this. Because this is my way of giving back to the world. In spite of the fact that I'm getting disability, this is my way of putting time in and, if you will, volunteering my help. Now, don't get me wrong. I will answer any question in this room. Any question in the stream at all. You put out, I don't charge in here. This is all done for free. Positive Perspectives, which is the free newsletter I put out, same idea. It goes out for free. Which reminds me, tonight I will be sending out the whole 9 yards of it. Kept getting sidetracked. Not a good thing. Yeah, but Joe's going, it's almost June. It's staying lighter out longer by the night. which means the paranormal doesn't come out at night much. No, but because the paranormal can't come out at night much, if you watch for it, and it's a little harder to see, but watch the area and see what flickers out of existence. Don't look so much for the lights. Okay, look for the it'll almost look like a heat wave. Okay, that where you see things get distorted a little. And look for a distortion. This is the daytime variable, the daytime difference of paranormal activity. When you're looking through a ghost, it looks like you're looking through a milk cloud. Okay, you might be surprised at how much activity still goes on there. I know when I drive by a graveyard, I can still see them, even in broad daylight, walking between the graves. You know, people that tell you that the gravesite is quiet kind of missed the boat on something. They weren't quiet. The people weren't quiet beforehand. And here's the neat little kicker of it. Your self-worth. You bring that up. You'll also have, and you're going to have a fun time with this one, you'll also have the added self-confidence to be able to do what you'd like to after you pass. And LA's just adding, here the sunspots are sending the psychic and the paranormal in overdrive. And that's the neat part about it. Every time we get a jump in energy, it affects the neural net. Now, the ironic part of all this, or the intriguing part, I'm not sure which, is if you're having trouble looking in the mirror and going, I don't know what I'm up to. I don't know if this is going to work. I will tell you, as your self-esteem, as your self-worth grows, your self-esteem will grow at a commensurate rate. Now, as per usual, I'm going to go back up here. And I'm just wondering. Now, one of the important factors here is when you start this journey of self-discovery, of self-worth, the first thing that I suggest you look at is literally, are you happy with you? Now, I'm not content with the layout of my office right now. I can't do much with it. I'm working with limited room. Okay, but all this paperwork you see behind us is literally stuff I've been working on to get dealt with. Like I said, one thing, and yeah, I realize I'm out of view, but we're going to have to bear with that. When you find something you're not content with, it is absolutely imperative that you take a look at that and start making adjustments. Now, I do have to have, well, I don't have to ask, but Farah, like I do with many people, I'm going to ask, if you don't mind sharing. If you do, don't say a word. No harm done. I'm just curious what guided you into psychology itself. It's funny, I was told I could not take any form of psychology. The people of authority literally put the kibosh on that. But take a look. If you're not content with it, something you will find. Self-worth is literally directly affected by the clutter in your area, the type of stuff you're listening to, the type of stuff you're looking at. And this applies to everybody, myself included. Okay, quite frankly, I'm no better than the rest of you. But I have found, and this has, by the way, been corroborated by scientists the world over. If you bombard yourself with negative information, you are going to feel pretty bad about yourself and the world. Primarily because if all you're doing is looking at the sour side of things, you're going to have problems. You learn to expect the worst. And this applies to whether you are a business person, a student of psychology, maybe you're a specialist, or you're focusing on the paranormal. Specifically, we'll say astrology. Now, you don't have to believe in astrology. This is the nice part. You don't have to believe in anything. That's entirely up to you. Okay, but what I found is if you look at things and expect to see the worst in people, you will find it. If you look in the mirror and you expect to see the worst example of a person you will find that. However, if you take a look in the mirror and you see, well, here's the potential I've got. Now, I believe it was Joe Stewart some weeks ago made a comment. He goes, I'm not perfect, but I am doing my best. And this is exactly why I have chosen to step right out of the shadows. There are certain things I will not discuss on this channel, on this stream. And absolutely, the moderators that are in here are here because they understand two factors. One, I've got definite boundaries of which I'm not interested in making leeway for. And two, potentially more importantly, my ability with computers is complicated. Okay. Even today, I went down to the store to pick something up, and their machine wouldn't work until I stepped away from the machine. One of the big things we have to look at. Okay, take a look in the mirror. Are you happy with your wardrobe? Now, do understand, that is, are you happy with it? Okay, I have turned to the people in this chat room for some guidance because I'm not content with mine, but finances are turning. You would not believe how fast. I am going to get to that point. But for the moment, it's time to start upgrading. Now, it's neat. When I take a look at my self-worth, a couple of years ago, I was 246 pounds. Now, normally I tell people get rid of the clothing you don't require. The ironic part of that is I still have one pair of pants I used to fit. Now, I have no idea how well it would fit. Okay, I used to be in a 38 waist. I was told I have to be, that I need medication to drop weight. Yeah. Machines are afraid to die around Storm LA. You're more than welcome there, Joe. I keep that one pair of pants so that I can, if I ever choose to, go, this is the worst shape I was in. Right now, now, actually, I don't write offhand, though, so I'm going to check. As of last Sunday, I was finally down to 189.4 pounds. I have no idea in kilo, and I don't have a lot of interest in looking it up. Yes, I'm Canadian, but that doesn't matter. Okay, the fact of the matter is I still think in pounds and inches. But I took a look at that. When I hit 250 and 246, I went, there is no way that I am going to get to 250. Now, understand, I do not find, and don't read any more into this than what I'm about to say. I don't personally find overweight people attractive. And my thought process when I looked at that, because I was keeping an eye open for a partner, my personal outlook was real simple. I am not hitting 250 because I didn't like the way I looked. And if I don't find overweight people attractive, now understand, business, friendship, I could probably care less about the weight of somebody. I probably could. I don't know how I do it, but I probably could. But when I was looking for a relationship there was no way I liked what I was looking at. So it seemed reasonable. You don't like your weight? Here's a neat little trick for you. Okay. Now hold that thought for half a second. 10 years ago, if I looked at the population anywhere I went, if you saw one person in 10, including medical reasons, that was 40 to 50 pounds overweight, you were doing well, and you probably had to look for them. Carl Streiner, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The thing is, just this last week when I was down in Reno, 2 weeks ago, I think, but when I was down in Reno, I kid you not, it had to be 90% of the population I saw down there were a minimum of 40 to 50 pounds overweight. Okay. Now, like I said, friendship doesn't matter. Friendship, business people, I don't care. Look like you will. It's how you treat people that matters. But if you're one of these people that looks in the mirror and goes, I don't like my weight. Now, this applies to everybody, but I will tell you this. If you're fighting with a thyroid problem, an adrenal problem, some other medical complication that is causing you to hold that kind of weight, maybe you're on medication that does it. These things are extenuating circumstances. But understand something very important. Okay, weight itself on the whole is a matter of mathematics. Okay, when you look in the mirror, if you don't like your current weight, okay, let go of the idea of, I have to lose weight. Because I will tell you, here's why a lot of people put the weight on. They don't desire to let people close. Usually this is a side effect of self-esteem or trauma. So you put on extra weight. Now, I love the people that go, oh, I'm 100 pounds overweight, but I feel great. I'm happy with myself. It's a great idea. And I'm not going to say some people can't be happy at that weight, but I'll tell you, being a full empath, that doesn't hold a lot of water for me. So, first thing you do, where it comes to your weight, which will have a direct impact on your self-esteem. And here's why. Okay, yes, it does have a neat little complication. You drop the weight, you're going to draw people's attention. Now, you talk to some people and say, lose 30, 40 pounds in a week. Take this pill. Take 30, you'll drop 30 pounds over, in the month. This is a bad idea. Now, understand, I am no medical specialist. Okay, and my metabolic rate is twisted at best. But think about the practicality of it. I was told I had to get medication. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all there, Joe. Right now, you get to have a little sunlight. Joe's just saying, come fall and winter later in the year, I'll be glued to that upstairs window like nobody's business. For those of you that are not aware, you'll find as you listen, Joe's got some phenomenal paranormal activity going on in his backyard. Well, actually, in all fairness, it's in the yard behind as near as I gather. Because correct me if I'm wrong there, Joe, but you don't actually live in the graveyard. Although that would be entertaining. But ask yourself this. Does your weight actually affect your self-esteem? Let me ask you. If people see an overweight person on the whole, do they ever stop? And have you ever heard of many of them stopping and going, oh, wow, look at that one. Look at that guy or look at that woman. Right? Does anybody, and yes, this is social programming. It absolutely is. Oh. Well, that doesn't surprise me there, Carl. Oh, that's entertaining. Yeah, Carl Streiner. He's just saying there was an episode in South Park with losing weight where it was a scripted program to embark fear on the public. Now, here's the thing: if you're not happy with your weight, okay, if you're not happy and understand something, I feel great. Wheeze, wheeze. I'm happy with my weight. You're healthy. You may be happy with your weight, but your body is not going to do you a lot of good. So what you do is literally, it's pure math. Put less calories into your body than what you're burning. Now remember, the first thing you shift is literally quit talking in terms of losing weight. When you look at your weight, tell yourself, and do it out loud if you can, okay, I am dropping X number of pounds, okay, or like in my case, okay, I literally look in the mirror now and there's not much here, okay, this really isn't bad compared to what it used to be, but I'm not happy with the fact that I've got this little bit of a roll here. Okay, no, I'm not going to show you my abdomen. Not going to happen. But I used to walk around with a basketball. Now I look at it going, I'm dropping the weight. This is going away. I am building washboard abdomen, my washboard abdominal muscles, because at 61 years old, I figure I'm not dead. I can do this. Now, all I did with my weight, oh, probably there, Ellie. Ellie goes, I think we all look in the mirror and something nags at us in some way. Virtually everybody does. I know people, I kid you not, they'll be walking down the hall and they'll stop, look in the mirror and go, oh, got my hair a little bit out of shape. I'm like, how? Or why for that matter, but that's for me. You change your thinking from I'm going to I'm going to lose weight to I'm dropping weight. Because the problem with losing weight is this. With especially Western society, and I suspect most of the world, when we lose something, we are taught to go and find it. Now, this is great, except in the case of weight, it seems to come back with company. Okay, so you start there. Now, what's the best speed to drop weight? Okay, and we'll get to why this is such a kicker on self-worth and self-esteem. Okay, first of all, your value is not in your weight, unless you happen to be growing up in a barn, literally. They usually refer to that as a cow or a pig or maybe a chicken. Okay, if you're being raised for slaughter, your weight is really necessary. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, Carl. Here's the other side of that. When we're talking about dropping weight, put in less calories during the day than you burn. You'll drop weight. Ideally, in my experience, and I'm no medical professional, but what I found is if I'm dropping a pound to a pound and a half a week, okay, this means between 4 and 6 pounds a month. Then you're dropping it at a decent rate where your body will adjust. Now, Carl, you brought up the flip side of that. You feel you're too thin. So, and this is just something I discovered myself decades ago. I have not done a whole pile of research, but look into this. Eat your meals later in the day, like eat your supper later at night, so you don't have a lot of time to burn off the energy and to burn off the calories beforehand. Usually, I recommend you stick to the normal thing, the normal meal time between 4 and 6. In your case, Carl, if you're looking to put on a little bit of weight, eat your supper between 8 and 9 at night, or between 8 and 10, depending on how long you're up. Now, I got to ask, Joseph, which instructor are you dealing with? And I don't mean by name. I'm just curious, quite frankly. But here's the thing. When we talk, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time on weight here, but let me ask you, have you ever seen a majority of people that when somebody really overweight walks into the room, they stop and admire them, whether they're male or female? Okay. If you're overweight, you undoubtedly have felt people looking at you. If you feel you're overweight, especially, you undoubtedly have had people look at you. Oh, there we are. Joseph, I would not have surmised that one. You know, if you haven't, well, I'm sure if you're overweight, you've walked into a room and felt people were looking at you going, oh, would you look at that? There's somebody that doesn't care. You may care an incredible amount about the way you look. Okay. And by the way, yeah, I do agree. Who the heck am I referring to here? Carl, I do agree with Joseph about getting your thyroid checked. While you're at it, you might desire to check your adrenal glands as well. Either one can play havoc with your weight. Okay. But this is just something to look at. When you start looking in if you see people that are of the appropriate weight, have a proper physique. Proper, now bear in mind, you get to determine proper. To me, when I said I'm getting rid of this, I'm going to turn my abs into a set of washboards. Okay. I'm going to get muscle definition on my biceps. I'm doing that because that's how I see fitness, not how I think you should. Okay. Now, absolutely, if I see somebody in decent shape, I will notice them. And like I've told my other half, I'm going to notice other good-looking people. So will you. The trick is to look in the mirror and see that good-looking person in the mirror. Now, to be clear, I have seen, I have literally seen people where I'll look at them and literally 100 pounds overweight. I will see what they look like beneath all of that. Okay. Now I forget, I think years ago, about 15 years ago, I believe it was Mel Gibson, started a show called I Know What Women Want. Okay. I think that's what it was, where he was literally, they called it cursed to see overweight women as absolute knockouts. Now I will tell you, with my senses, that's literally the way I see them. But the key is, how do you see you? Now you start bringing your weight down, and you will find that your sense of self improves drastically. The same applies when you start removing the clutter from your room, from your house. Clutter literally is kind of like it affects energy, kind of like debris, rocks, branches, that sort of thing, dropping into a river affect the water flow. Clear out the clutter, clear out the junk. The energy runs smoother. You'll feel better. Don't take my word for it. If you're not feeling great now, put these tools to use and check them for yourself. Well, it certainly gives you an upper hand, LA. The reality of it from my standpoint is this. As soon as you start seeing your life change, you're going to get more focused on it. I know this because I've seen it happen literally thousands upon thousands of times. Okay. In my career as a professional psychic and consultant, personal and business, I have dealt with well over 100,000 clients. Okay. And it holds true in virtually every case. You remove the clutter, remove the things you're not content with, alter the energy flow, and your sense of self, your sense of accomplishment, your sense of self-esteem will climb. Now, you can absolutely continue going to a church, a temple. You can absolutely continue going to them and listen to the guy at the front of the pulpit go, "You're all sinners. You're all going to die." Absolutely. And I will back them up on one thing. You are going to die. Sooner or later, you're going to die. Now, hopefully you're not like I am in this case. I've done it so often, it's just redundant. The last massive heart attack I had, which was 10 years ago, that put me in the hospital, I got in there. I couldn't blame the doctor. But normally, from what I gather, most people, when they have a heart attack, they go into panic. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. And they start panicking about all these things. I got in there. Doc goes, "Do you know what's going on?" I said, "Yeah, I'm in the middle of a massive coronary." So he comes back to me 5 hours later, looks at me and goes, "Well, we confirmed you had a massive coronary." I said, "It took you 5 hours to figure that out?" I said, "I told you that when I got here." Now, I'm no doctor, okay, but when you've had as many heart attacks as I have, they kind of stand out. So he made the mistake of looking at me and going, "Well, you couldn't have possibly known." Yeah, that's what I gathered, Joseph. I'm looking forward to meeting you. And I will forgive you for looking down on me. Okay. And certainly I'll forgive you for looking down on my other half. I gotta ask. Oh, there we go. So when you look at your physical weight, understand that is going to have a bearing on your overall health, your energy levels, your joints. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. Well, let's face it. I'm 5'8", and I've got 7 inches on my other half. Okay. And by the sounds of it, Joe, you've probably got 7 on me. So yeah, we're going to have to tolerate the fact you're going to look down. Okay. And that's the only time that it is viable, in my opinion, to look down on anybody. Now, here's the other thing that we look at where it comes to self-worth. Clothing does not make the person. If it did, okay, everybody in the military, everybody in the police force, everybody in the ambulance and fire departments, all of them would behave the same way. Even people in a private school, anywhere a uniform is required or a specific dress code, anytime that is required, if clothes made the person, that would immediately make all of them behave the same way. In case you hadn't noticed, it doesn't. Okay, but what it does do is it does change the way you feel about what you see in the mirror. The neat part about it, and I'm going to have to take a look at that. I got to figure out just exactly how I'm doing things, so I'll piece that together. What I may just end up doing, because are they here? There, so. See, I only ever wear one pair of boots. Okay. So, I've got a choice. I can either get these resoled, which is what I wear. It's the only pair of boots I actually have. As you can see, the heel's shot. I can either take these, buy another set while I'm down in New Mexico there, and then bring both pair up, or I can take these down, leave them behind while I buy the new set, and ask them to make sure somebody gets them that can use them. because I only wear one at a time. Okay, the thing is, my whole outlook is this. If you're content with the way you dress, that you look, this is great. I will tell you, if you're striving to make yourself feel a little more vibrant, a little bit more upbeat, it's time for a wardrobe change. I suggest one modification there, Joseph, and that is tell the physician you intend to drop or gain weight. I know it's a subtle difference, but I've seen it have remarkable impact. You know, the reality is I tried one of their medications. They gave me a medication and said, here, this will help you drop weight. So I took their word for it and took it. 3 days into taking it, I had a massive heart attack. I threw the medication out. Okay, the important thing here, take a look at your weight, start the exercise. You don't have to leave your room. I started my exercise not at a gym. Okay, I started my exercising to get my weight, to get my strength level up. I started right here in this room. I still don't go to a gym, but I am looking at altering my wardrobe, okay, into something more, more, if you will, updated. But if you're looking to feel a little more vibrant, choosing the color that fits you better is a way of doing it. And I realize, like I told my ophthalmologist, I don't really care what my glasses look like. In all fairness, I really didn't, because at the time, okay, if I held my glasses right there, I could not physically see them. So it didn't matter what they looked like, And of course, if I put them on, I couldn't see them either. Now I'm looking at it going, okay, let's see what we can do. But finances first. So take a look at what you're wearing. Are you wearing what makes you feel better? Now, yes, absolutely. Feeling unique, feeling individual, very important. I will tell you, and somebody's going to yell about this. Somebody's going to yell about this. I will tell you, there are certain clothes that I would strongly recommend you avoid. Personally, I am not a fashion, well, I'm not much of a fan of a positive fashion statement. Okay. Yeah, you are right, Joseph. That's what I told them. So yeah, that would have caused me to lose weight. You drop dead, you stop eating, it works like a charm. Some clothing, like in my case, I'm looking at an old style clothing. Okay. I'm not getting into a suit and tie. Not gonna happen. I don't like anything around my neck, which is why this is open. Now, there is one exception to that, and I'll be dealing with that down in Utah in a few months. Speaking of which, I'll get to that afterwards. Anyway, there are some outfits that I really strongly recommend you don't wear. Okay, if you're overweight. Okay, I am a firm believer that spandex is not your friend. Okay, it really isn't. Spandex, in all fairness, in my opinion, is overrated a lot of the time. But you can get outfits that do bring attention to slimming your body or to enhancing what you've got. Talk to somebody versed in fashion. I'm not the one you want to talk to. I mean, you can absolutely ask me any question you want. I'll pass on what I know. But the first thing I know is I'm the last person you want to talk to about fashion on the whole or about diplomacy. I am not the one to ask about how to politely tell somebody what they can do with themselves. I'm very good at telling people what they can do with themselves, not politely. Okay, and certainly not in a politically correct fashion. But you bring your physique into what you consider decent. Okay, and your wardrobe. Okay, and absolutely. Yeah, the reason I said start with the idea of I am worth it. It will help bolster your outlook on yourself. Okay, whereby if you have put on the weight to protect yourself, to keep people away from you, maybe it's just your self-esteem that's short. Okay, maybe it boils down to you haven't, you just don't have the self-confidence to talk to people. So by putting on the extra weight, usually from a subconscious standpoint, you will keep people away from you. This has been proven throughout the centuries. Okay. And it really boils down to a mindset. When you look in the mirror, if you see yourself, if you see yourself as fine, you're happy with what you're looking at, this is fantastic. Do not let me be the one to say, hey, you don't look good. You're 40 pounds overweight. You're not healthy. This is not the way that works. But if you're having troubles with your knees, with your legs, with your energy level, with your lungs, or any combination of the above, okay, then your health is not as good as you would like to think. Now, in my case, I am finding my health is climbing rather drastically in a good way. Okay, a lot of this is because I've taken most of the clutter and removed it. Okay, and I've got different projects, and that's where this neat little list. Okay, again, I've only got six things left. I've already done 70 to 75% roughly of this list is already complete. Okay, because of that, I'm feeling that much more at ease with myself. Okay, I mentioned, and where is it? Right. What did I do with it? Of course, the thing I'm looking for goes missing. Should be this one. Yep. When I talk about your whole self-worth, your whole self-image, okay, on the 24th of May, I took an absolute rock solid account of my own finances. Again, the way your finances are sitting will have a direct impact on whether or not you feel you're doing well. Now, again, do not take my word for it. Ask yourself this. If you have ever been in a situation where you've been behind in bills, do you feel better about yourself when you're behind, or do you feel better about yourself when you're up to date or ahead? These are just some of the things that interlock. Physical appearance, your physique, your physical appearance, what you're wearing, the order of your house, and your financial state. These are literally all interlinked. Okay. All of them have a direct impact on how you see yourself and subsequently how other people will see you. Now, I asked a friend of mine to give me an idea how this all impacts. I kept getting asked by just about everything, to loan them money for me to loan people money. I finally looked at my friend and I said, what is it with this? It's not like I've got any money. And he goes, no, you don't. But he says, you carry yourself as though you own the world. And that does not mean I treat other people like garbage. Okay. It literally boils down to I treat everybody equally. I treat people literally as per karmic law number 2. Okay. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If you desire people to be honest with you, be honest with them. If you desire people to potentially compliment you, okay, compliment them. Energy out, energy in. The way you treat the people around you, especially the way you treat the lady or the man in the mirror, that is the way the energy is going to come back to you. Do not take my word for it. Test it out for yourself. If you haven't done so already, give it a shot. Now, I will tell you this. Many of you have been through some pretty horrendous childhoods. You cannot do a thing about the fact that you went through something sour. Nothing. I love the people, the psychologists, psychiatrists, they lay out a situation, or you lay out the situation about something you went through. And I've seen so many of these do this. It's absolutely frustrating. Lay out the situation. You've been assaulted. Well, how did you feel about that? This is not the question that is of any viable use. All that kind of a question does is draw up the same problem. Oh, where are we here? Yeah, Joseph is just going. There's a sign in front of an urban high school. 106 degrees. Ow. I'll tell you, the worst one I ran into was up here in a little place south of us. Gets to be 8 years ago. We hit 112 up here. That was a little warm for even me. I used to be comfortable to about 105, 106. Okay. I'm much happier in the 80s, but I'm quite comfortable in the higher levels. Okay. Just something to keep in mind. But again, and I found this out the hard way and the easy way at the same time. I used to be really comfortable at 10 below. But I'll tell you, I dropped 60 pounds of fat and I'm no longer comfortable at 30 below. I'm just not. Joseph, anytime somebody talks to me about tomatoes, first thing that pops into my head is the theme song from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Terrible movie, hilarious to watch. Some of you probably recognize it. Although, do not try and match the singing. That's pretty pathetic. The thing is, when you start getting all of the negative things that are causing you discomfort, okay, see, 95 I can work with happily. The things that are causing you discomfort, by altering them, by altering the energy around you, you will free it up, thereby enhancing your own energy levels, your own sense of get up and go, and your own sense of self. Now, absolutely, I have a bad habit of putting my foot in my mouth almost to my hip, because that funny little thing in your own head, most of you have it. It says, "Oh, you shouldn't say that." Mine's a little slow. Yeah, not a prayer there, Joseph. Thought about that. Not going to happen. The one thing you will find is the more in tune with you are, the happier you're going to be. That will drive your sense of self-esteem, self-worth, self-motivation. You get the picture. It's all me first. The reality is life literally must be about you first. Karmic law is simple. Be true to yourself first. Okay. The reality of it is this. When you are true to yourself, and this does not mean treat anybody worse. This means do what feels right to you. For me, the physique I'm talking about is what I'm doing for me. If other people like it, that's great. But I will tell you, the number of people that I've talked to, and just have missed the boat entirely on what they could be doing has been mind-boggling. Okay, so if you had, like, let me ask you this. Okay, and I've asked this before, but when you get a paycheck in, whether it is a work check or disability, or maybe you're on social services, maybe you're on a retirement fund, what is the first thing you do when you get a check in? When you get a chunk of money in. I will tell you, most of you have been told, pay your rent, get your bills paid as soon as the money comes in. I'm going to throw a complete backwards curveball to you. The first moment the check comes through the door, take 1% out of every check. Now that's $1 out of every $100 or part thereof. Take $1, put that in your pocket. That is for coffee, that is for lunch, that's for a movie out, whatever. We're talking $1 out of every 100. Okay, because what that does is it takes the energy of I'm working to pay my bills and completely flips it over to I'm working and paying my bills. Well, Joseph, I can pretty much guarantee most people that have a paycheck coming in are getting more than $100. Okay, so that being said, you used to be able to go to fast food like that. Now I don't know if you can even go to a corner store for a chocolate bar for that. But it is an option. The important factor is this. Okay, we're talking $1 out of every 100, which means you get a check for $1,000. You now have a $10 pocket. Okay, and maybe you're going to have to save for a little while. Heaven forbid you've got to actually pay attention to what you're doing with your money. Okay, the reason I like, oh, there you go. See, the reason I look at it, the reason I say the 1% is it's easy to calculate. Okay, and especially if you're struggling. This is not, and this is where people got hung up the other day. Don't get hung up on the numbers. The important factor is you've got to look in the mirror and go, I get paid too. I am a bill. I owe me. Okay. It's absolutely imperative. It will work wonders on your sense of self, on your motivation, and on your level of accomplishment. Okay. Now the reality of it, from what I gather, and I don't know if this is still the case, but it used to be over in England that chocolate bars were like $5 and $6 a pop, where fresh vegetables were like $1 sort of thing. Yeah, and that's a funny thing, LA. If you're in a joint relationship, then that 1% goes to each member of the partnership. Okay, but that's 1% of every check coming in. If you've got 2 streams of income, i.e., 2 jobs, each one pulls 1% out of their check and gives it to the partner, and 1% out of their own check and keeps it. Okay, these are from my standpoint, they're simple concepts, but way too many people get caught up in doing things the way they've been taught. Like Joseph here is going, mine goes to toothpaste, soap, etc. Here's the kicker to it. I absolutely agree, those are critically necessary. Okay, but if you include those products, your toothpaste, your soap, dish soap, whatever, okay, if you include those in your grocery shopping, okay, it will accommodate what you require. But we are talking, we can get into real simple specifics for everybody or real complex ones. I'm not doing that. Way too many variables. Okay. And people will get very tied up and very lost in it. One of the important factors that we look at is when you look at your check coming in. Now, I know I used to look at it. Check came in, check went out. Great. That was really depressing. What am I working for? So my son turned around, okay, and he paid, and this is, he was simply paying a bill that I had already covered. So when that money came in, okay, now to be specific, that was $360. Okay. First thing I did was go, okay, $3 of that, $3.60 goes into my pocket. Now I start moving it around doing what I have to. Okay. Now, the one thing I'm not here to do is say, oh, what you're doing is wrong. If what you're doing is working for you, stay on it. The catch is, if it's not working for you, here's some tools that may. That's the biggest thing you got to look at, is it really is about you. Are you content with the way your life is rolling out? If you are, stay on the course, stay on path. If you're not content, that's where we start adjusting what you're doing. Okay, it's extremely important that you get a look in the mirror and go, okay, either, yes, I'm content, it's working for me, I'm staying put, or I'm not happy with the current outcome. How can I change it? Your call. I will absolutely turn the lights on. But I will tell you, so many people, you sit down, and I get it all the time myself. I'll be sitting there with Facebook on the side, and it's like, oh, invest this chunk of money, and you can make thousands of dollars for absolutely doing nothing. I'm telling you, red lights go on all over the place. I saw one ad to that effect. They said, the guy says, you invest $250, right, and you will make $1,000 a day, right? Oh, what you're looking at is the natural lighting. I actually don't have any lights on at all right now. But I listen to this guy, and he goes, you'll make $1,000 a day. Now, this is a guy that is very well renowned. No, I'm not telling you what his name was or is. Okay, but he goes on to say that means you'll make $7,000 a week, which is great. And then he finishes it off by going, that means every month you'll make $27,000. Right there, I shut my ears off. Because where's the flaw in his mathematics? And this was from an absolutely world-renowned, purported genius. Well, I can cure a part of that. Only way I can do that is to pick that up and move it out of the way so I got a place to sit. And we have found out the hard way that computers and I do not get along well. But that puts me back a little further. Maybe that'll help clear it. The neat part about it, I keep telling people, well, I made the comment one day, if I get too close to a computer, it may screw it up. Okay. And of course, I was immediately told, what's this may? We've got absolute quantifiable proof. So I do what I can, but I've only got so much room in the room. Okay, so eventually I may deal with this. You lost me on that there, Joseph. Are you referring to computers work faster if they've got more light? Because it's weird. And, we play around with it to try and clear it up. The reality is nothing seems to be permanent. But I could go around in circles on that one for decades. I already have. Well, see, the reason I don't have the overhead on is because so many people were saying that having the overhead on scrambled the view, made it a lot fuzzier. My eyesight's fuzzy anyway, so I don't notice much. But when you take a look at the way your world is going, okay, if you're content with it, then quite frankly, that's what you stick with. If you're not content with it, that's when you start making changes. Now, the other thing here, the better you feel about you. Now that I might be able to accommodate. Let's see. I got something that just might do that. Don't ask me. I'm no genius here. But that's the only light I've got that's in front of me. Now, I don't know if that worked. But I've got that's a light that's sitting over on top of the shelf here. But this is why I say technology and we understand each other. It does one thing, I make it do something else. Kind of like Frank when he goes and has problems with the computer. It goes, I want to do something. Frank goes, no, not going to happen. The reality, but thank you there, Joseph. The idea here is I'm not perfect by any means. I certainly don't have all the answers. And that's where your guys' input has helped immensely in getting my life organized. Okay, and in getting my life to change. Now, it was funny. I've got a mailbox, right, for people to contact me. And I was just about to lose my mailbox. But I ended up with a check in the mail for another one of the books of the Races of the World. Okay, so it went out this morning. It should be there probably in a few weeks. I get a kick out of the number of times that I watch what's going on. Now, I'm not a genius. What I do know is the more successful and the more organized I am, the better I'm feeling. And I know for a certainty that this will apply to your life as well. Get the clutter out of the area and you'll feel better. Don't take my word for it. Give it a shot and see what happens when you remove the stuff you don't require. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here. As a matter of fact, there's one that I should have dealt with. Where's my pen? There's my pen. Like I said, I keep my clipboard handy, so when I get a thought, I can deal with it. Now, who is this? In case you're wondering, I'm just making a quick note to make certain when I get done this stream, I make a call that I should have done a week ago. I'm not perfect by any stretch, but I do know the less clutter that is in your life, the less stuff that is out of place, the better off you're going to feel, the better you're going to feel. Take care, Joseph. Little dog to the rescue. Thanks so much for the input and for sharing your time with us there, Joseph. The nice part about this whole area here is we are working towards, combined. And I'm not the one to say, I refuse to step into the spotlight for decades. It finally dawned on me about 2 weeks ago. I'm sitting there going, what am I doing this for? Is it going to work? And I got told very promptly, if not you, who? If not now, when? And with the amount of support I've got from you people to keep doing this sort of thing, it really did help solidify my mind that way. Now what we're looking at is how do we get your sense of self on track? I will tell you, if you like having company come over in the first place, do you prefer your house to be neat and tidy, or do you prefer it just being a kind of haphazard mess? Which do you feel more content with? Not what other people are going to like. Okay, I look in the mirror and go, I'm not happy when it's not in order. But that's because that's my way of looking at it. And the fact that when your world is cluttered, you will find, and you may not know this, okay, but you will find that you have a major shift in your energy levels as the clutter gets out of the way. Again, don't take my word for it. Make the adjustments yourself. Okay, because as your self-worth goes up, and I'm kind of in a mix, is self-worth, are self-worth and self-esteem the same thing? And in essence, they basically are. Now, here's the real kicker to it. Every race, every species I've ever dealt with, all have the same outlook. But then you got to remember, all of them also have a soul. And it's the soul that determines what the person is. Okay, this is why when people die, okay, this is why I said you'll find the people that have passed away, if you happen to be a working medium, if they were decent people to start with, when they pass away, they're still decent people. It's just a matter of getting a handle on what it works like. But your outlook on yourself, okay, is rather critical to start rebuilding. So, take a look in the mirror. Ask yourself one thing. When you look in the mirror, what are you content with? What do you like the appearance of? Now, I will tell you, my sideburns, I'm keeping. Told my other half that as well. But take a look in the mirror. Maybe you're content with the shape of your nose. Maybe the shape of your mouth is something you enjoy seeing. Okay. Maybe it's just the fact that you got well-defined cheekbones. Okay. And yes, there is that possibility. And some people are like this. You look in the mirror and you find you've got a really round face. And that's what you like. It doesn't matter what it is. If you like it, tell yourself, tell the lady or the guy in the mirror, I like, you have a nice whatever. Okay, very important you take a look at that side of it. Because if you don't, and you keep looking at what's wrong with you, okay, you're going to constantly see what's wrong with the rest of the world, and vice versa. It's funny. I look at it this way. I do it because I would like help. The few times I actually require it, I prefer to have it when asked. Therefore, when somebody asks me for assistance, if it's possible, I will do it. That's just the reality behind it. Thing we have to remember is whether you're telling yourself that you're so stupid that, you're ugly, whatever. If it's you telling yourself, it's even worse than if somebody else does. But it has been proven time and again if somebody is told they are stupid, especially if you tell a child, you are so stupid, so lazy, if you're constantly told that, you'll take it to heart and you will start to emulate it, likely pretty quickly. Okay, the one thing we have to remember is the same applies if you tell somebody they actually have a lot of drive. You've got, you know they can, that they're doing the best they can. If you do that, they will start feeling more the same way. And I think Christoph here, it is. The neat part about it is whatever you tell yourself. I used to have a massive problem with memory, especially where it came to names. Now, because I used to tell myself all the time, I've got a lousy memory for names. Okay, I've got a decent memory, but for names, it's absolute garbage. Half the time, I'll forget somebody's name before the echo dies. The moment I started telling myself I've got a memory for names that is constantly improving, all of a sudden, I started remembering people's names. Okay, even people that I haven't seen in literally 2 or 3 years at this point, I still remember not only what their name was, but what they looked like and different bits and pieces, because I've been telling myself consistently my memory is improving. In all fairness, everybody's memory is absolutely idyllic. Okay, in other words, a perfect memory. Where the problem comes in is not in the memory, it's in the recall. Okay, and that's where things shift for the better. Okay, the moment you start telling yourself you are improving, you are wealthy, you go, I am worth it. I am wealthy. I am intelligent. Every time you tell yourself you are something, whether it's positive or negative, you are reinforcing that image. If you're constantly telling yourself, I am an idiot, well, the first thing you got to look at is, what do you consider an idiot? Now, I consider true ignorance doing something because you don't know any better. For whatever reason, you missed the message. Okay, stupidity is when you know better and you do it anyway. Hence why I tell you, the tools in this book, where is it? I mailed that one out. The tools in this book, believe in your finances and follow your dreams. Okay, I wrote I still turned around and did some pretty dense maneuvers. Net result, dug myself into a hole, but I mentioned I was going to climb out of it. I've already got a plan in place. It's already being implemented. Okay, and because of that, I've got new cash flow coming in, enhanced cash flow, enhanced income. Net result, I'm going to attain the dreams I have. Okay, you've got the same capacity. Oh, heavens, Christine, the answer to that is absolutely 100% no. It does not matter one iota. Or bonus point, yes, it is okay if you don't read them in order. Here's the thing. Each one of those the chapters in the books, each chapter, I am doing my best to write to be standalone. So if you don't read the books in order, or you don't read the chapters in the books in order, okay, it doesn't matter. The information is literally universal. That's the way it's being designed. So if we go here, okay, your book ought to be arriving shortly, I'm hoping. If we go into believe in yourself and follow your dreams, okay, where is chapter 1 here? Of course, my hand's not working. That's always fun. Okay. In here, now this is Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. This is the one that contains the backbone of how I changed my life from being extremely reclusive to rather opinionated and outspoken and not quite so reclusive. Okay. But the first chapter here is literally introduction. Okay. Now, this is the first one of the series I wrote. Now, let's say you read the introduction and then you go all the way to the one that you've got coming in there. And we take a look at Believing Your Finances. And again, maybe you'll read the introduction on this one. Or maybe you'll turn around and read chapter 2, Getting Started. Okay, doesn't matter. These are designed so you can read each one, and each chapter is only 4 or 5 pages long. Okay, they're designed so you can literally read them in whatever order you choose. Okay, now the nice part about it, and thank you for pointing out that up there, LA. The newsletter, for those of you that are already receiving it, I'll be sending it out tonight. I should have been sending it out last week, but it's coming out by email anyway. So I'll be sending a bunch of them out tonight. Hopefully all of them. Should take about an hour or two. Because none of it's automated at this point. Because I found that didn't work that well. You know, one of the biggest things that I have found is that when we look at the way the world is, you can be constantly bombarded by, here's the newest thing on the planet, on the market. This is better than anything you've ever seen. Well, I will tell you this. Okay, this book is not the best one written. It may be the one that hits home for you. Okay, because when we look at your finances, we look at most people that write books will give you this great big long book, yay thick, an inch thick. And they'll give you all kinds of reports of, oh, here's a letter from John Smith. He made this happen. Here's the letter from Pamela Barkley. She had this happen. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how successful other people are. It's not going to make you feel any better or any worse. If they talk about people that were less than you, it's not going to help. What is going to help is for you to get a look in the mirror and go, what am I not content with? Now, to give you an example, we take a look at this one. And believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Okay, one of the chapters here is called Give Yourself a Facelift. What it talks about is something real simple. Now, I'm lazy. Okay, I really am. I don't know how that translates, but it takes, from my understanding, okay, about 4 times as many muscles to smile or to frown as it does to smile. I'm lazy. Smile. Okay, number 1, it's the one gift you can give anybody, and I've never heard somebody complain about it. I have heard people go, well, what are you smiling about? Right? There's an old saying that goes with that. Smile. Keep them guessing. But it costs nothing to make it except a little bit of energy. It's a one gift. When you give it to other people, nobody seems to complain when they give it back to you. Okay? So absolutely keep that in mind. When I'm walking down the street, I will simply comment on it to somebody. Nice day, isn't it? Just that little bit of acknowledgement, maybe all it takes to make them feel a little better. Okay. I mentioned it to somebody today that the weather was fantastic. Ended up in a 5-minute conversation with him. Total stranger. We were both going different directions, had our own things, but that little bit of the interaction, he walked away feeling better than he was when I met him. And so did I. Okay. But I keep telling people, I make literally everybody I meet happy. Some people by showing up, most by leaving. You get to figure out what that fits for you. The neat part about it is that the more you focus on what you're content with, the better off you're going to be. Get the clutter out of the way. Yes, I keep standing up because I keep saying things that require modification. I'm no longer really good at the sitting still sort of thing. And by the way, just for your education there, especially to you, LA, to you and Storm, I'm about halfway through having completely written Believe in Your Organization and Follow Your Dreams, the 4th book in that series. Again, they're all designed to go together. Okay. And the nice part, the other thing that I did was, if you take a look, and I don't think you can see it, but on the back of the book there, oh, you can see it clearly. That lighthouse. People keep talking to me about, oh, you gotta make sure you don't infringe on copyright for people. Okay, I think I got that covered, because that little lighthouse is this little lighthouse here. I'm not sure, but I think that this eliminates the question of the copywriting. But that's because we turn that around this way. There we are. We take a look at that. Where is it? I think that's it. Yep. Turn that around. Okay. Just trying to see if it's there. See the similarity? That's why I've done that. Because the lighthouse to me still boils down to this. It shows people how to avoid the rocks. What we're talking about is how to avoid the rocks in your own life. How to stay off the rocks. Okay. But it's up to you. Whoop, I did that again. I'll scramble things. It literally is up to you guys to take the tools. These are the same ones I personally use. Okay. So it's up to you to pick the tools up and put them to use. Okay. One day I'll get a little bit more organized, a little bit more streamlined. I'm not holding my breath too much. Oh, that's what that was. What I do know is that when we start looking at the world in a new fashion, when you start focusing on the positive things that are going on, I'm certain, from what I gather, in the United States, there's probably a whole sheepload of stuff going on over the Trump issue. In Canada, there's a lot of stuff going on over the negative side of what Trudeau's up to. The question you have to look at, or that I encourage you to look at, is yes, there's all this negative stuff going on. However, I saw an ad today, in spite of all the negative stuff going on up here, I passed a sign talking about the local Hells Angels Club getting ready to do a toy run. Okay, now we know the reputation that gangs have around the world. These guys are getting to, if I read the sign right, these guys are getting ready to do a toy run to help underprivileged kids. Now, do not get me wrong. I do not condone the negative behavior of anybody, myself included. Okay, but I do condone or do encourage even people in a negative limelight. If they're doing something positive, acknowledge the fact they're doing something positive. Okay, Very important factor here. Because, and I'll tell you again, every time you see something negative, okay, whether it's listened to on the radio, watching on a podcast, watch a movie that is absolute, or watch a real life drama that is really bad, hear the news, whatever it is, if it is negative, watch, listen, or participate in two things that are positive. Okay, the reason for that is it tilts the energy in your favor. In all fairness, I don't know about down there, LA, but they've been doing it for years up here. The reality is everybody starts somewhere. I mean, I remember a past life where literally, and we have to go, when I'm talking past life, I'm talking go all the way back to Rome. Literally, because of what I bore witness to, if you were wearing a Roman uniform, like a Roman military uniform, I'd kill you without even thinking about it. Okay, I'm a pacifist this lifetime. Okay, I avoid conflict if at all possible. And I certainly don't look down on anybody that I'm not taller than, or if I'm standing and they're sitting, I'll look down. Okay, but I do not see anybody as less valuable or less important than anybody else. Yes, people's positions in work absolutely have different levels of importance. But I'm also a firm believer that whoever you are, whatever you are, if you're doing the job, get paid the same. Okay, it's that simple. Now, I will tell you, a lot of that outlook comes because I look in the mirror and go, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm up to. And whether somebody else believes it or not is not half as important as whether I do. But here's the kicker. The support I get from you guys absolutely helps me stay focused on it. Absolutely gives me the encouragement that, yes, we're making a difference with this. And because of that, I'm going to continue working with it. It's just that simple. I've got a whole pile of work to do over the next few months here. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is June 1st. As a cute little 4-year-old-ish informed me, told me today when we were walking by, all I said was good morning to her. And she pipes up and goes, tomorrow's June 1st. That's when we get to do all this other stuff. She starts laying out all these plans she's got for June 1st. Okay, this is a 4-year-old. Now, can you look in the mirror? Okay, can you yourself look in the mirror and go, here's what I'm up to? Okay, like I don't look in the mirror to do it. I look at this clipboard. Okay, and I've got all these things here that I've got to get done. Most of them will get done tonight. Where are we here? Okay, but here's the neat little thing. I always manage. That was what I looked at there, LA. I just looked at her mama and I just commented to her. I said, well done. I said, you've done a great job. Now, can I have some of her energy? The mother looks at me, smiles, and goes, please take some of it. I don't know if you know what it's like to have a 4-year-old running around your house anymore, whether it's your kid, a stranger's kid, or maybe it's a rental. Okay. But I'll tell you, they're hard to keep up with. So I just complimented the mom. And I said, well done. You've got, I love her energy. I love her enthusiasm. It's a fantastic thing. Funny part about it was the poor little kid knew very little English. Okay. But boy, was she talkative. So when you look in the mirror, ask yourself, are you content with what you've got? You know, what I'm doing here is I got a whole pile of things on my desk that I just don't require there anymore. All of this stuff has to go today. Usually what ends up happening is it gets moved somewhere. Okay. But this stuff that you can see, sort of, I know you can't. I didn't realize, well, you can see the back end of it. This is all paperwork that I've been working on. Because bearing in mind, this is not only my office, happens to be my bedroom. Okay. But I'm in limited space here. Eventually that may change. I don't know. Okay. It just boils down to this. It's imperative you get a handle on your life and start making you feel better about you. Okay. One of the important factors that I have come to the understanding of, I was actually talking to another website designer. Okay. That I've already spent too much money on. Okay. I sunk money in, was made a whole bunch of promises. And like I told her, I even increased the amount that I was paying you guys on the claim that you were going to do something. I says in the last several months, since July of last year, you haven't done a thing. I have not sold one book through your website. Period. Not one. You know, now, conversely, the Buy Me a Coffee that's listed at the top of this stream, that was set up by Storm. That has made a number of sales. Okay. It's made a number of changes. And absolutely, you know, I do provide as many quality products as I can get away with, working on others. But, like I've told people, I have never turned down money from anybody. You know, I'm not too proud to say, hey, I'm broke. But at the same time, I will turn around and help people as I can. First thing you got to look at is, are you content with what you're doing for you? And this is why it is so critical you pay you first. When was the last time you bought a new shirt or a new pair of pants for you? Okay, just something to think about. Oh, that is fantastic, Joe. You know, Joe's just going, I have a 10-year-old niece who is way smart, who I don't see often, but I'm blessed to be your uncle. Absolutely, I will tell you, cherish that as long as you possibly can. My youngest nieces are 19. Well, one's 19, one's 20. You know, and I make certain I talk to them at least once a year. Simply because sooner or later, I'll be gone. They won't have any input from me at all, which could be classified as a blessing. I don't know. Okay, you get to figure that one out. But the thing is, the two most wasted commodities in existence is the wisdom of the seniors and the enthusiasm of the youngsters. You know, the reality of it is this: tap into the energies of those around you, because that will help stabilize a lot of things. One of the big things I found with society, if you desire your neighborhood to be a safer, happier community, get to know your neighbors. Well, what if they don't want to get to be known? That'll turn out pretty quick. But I will tell you, if you continue to follow karmic law and do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, while you are being true to yourself first and focusing on putting energy out there by drawing energy in, you will find the world around you changes for the better. Your own self-esteem will start to climb. Because what you'll start seeing, if you haven't already, is the positive impact that your positive input can have on another individual. Okay, I had years ago, I had a 13-year-old girl that used to take the bus half an hour each direction just so she could talk to me 2 or 3 days a week. At the end of it, okay, and understand, she came to me because she couldn't go to a psychologist. Her parents were the problem. Or more to the point, her father was the problem. So she couldn't go and get help. So she came to me. At the end of it, she hands me a little red pocket knife. And she goes, now, understand, everybody at the park used to call me Grandpa. And this is a decade ago. They call me Grandpa because I was gray then. But then I started going gray when I was 16. And she comes up to me and she goes, Grandpa, I got something for you. So I put my hand out. She drops this tiny little red pocket knife in my hand. And she goes, I won't be needing this anymore. With everything you've helped me deal with and everything I managed to pass on to Mom. Mom is taking me and my brother and sister, and we're leaving Dad. That was the last I ever saw of her. Now, I'm a firm believer that families should find a way to stick together if possible. But unfortunately, this father did to this girl what nobody should do to anybody. And unfortunately, he did it repeatedly. I see this all the time. And this is one of the reasons why, when I decided to put Positive Perspectives on the market, it's one of the reasons why I went, no, I'm not putting the negative news in. I'm just not. You want to find a way to be disappointed in people, to be upset by them, to get mad about them. I can give you all kinds of sources. There are so many newspapers, so many churches, so many podcasts, news outlets that can help you get disappointed in people. You're welcome to find them. You won't find them here. I don't even have them in the chat room. Every now and again, somebody shows up and he's very quickly removed. Okay. And that is thanks very much to Storm in LA. Okay. The thing we've got to look at here is we've got a world that is ours for the creating or the co-creating. Okay. We can let the so-called leaders and spiritual guides continue to depress us and scare us and lead us into a world that is very black. Or we can go scrap it, turn on the light, and start focusing on the things that are working. Your call on which one you're going to do. Myself, I'm sticking on the positive side of it as best I can. I have my bad days, you just don't get to see them. Okay, but it's up to you which one you're going to focus on. I would strongly recommend right now, okay, go into, take a sheet of paper if you haven't already. You haven't done it already. Take a sheet of paper and write that down. I am worth it. Get that on your fridge. Okay. It's the one place everybody will see it. Everybody comes in your house anyway. The important factor from my standpoint, yeah, absolutely. See, the thing is, LA's going, it can ruin a person's life. Putting it right can take a lifetime. I had a falling out with my brother because he made a comment. It took me 40 years to put it right. Now we get along fine. Finally got it put together about 3 years before my mom died. Right? Well, actually about 1.5 years before Dad did. But that being said, Oh, thank you so much, Joe. I really do appreciate that. It's this kind of support that helps me stay focused on it. I honestly don't even know what our numbers are right now because I didn't think to check. Primarily, I had to run my son to work today, so got home literally about 5 minutes before we were going live. But I made it. And like I told him, he apologized. He says, if I remembered you at the stream tonight, I would have found a different way. I said, look, family, then work, then entertainment. And for me, this is very important, yes. But since since its focus is on helping people, I will do the best I can. I'm not perfect by any functional stretch. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's definitely a jump. We are up to 622. Yeah, today is Friday. So on Tuesday, we were at 619. And again, I look at this. 2,000 years ago, one guy came along and said, let's be nice to each other. Okay, just be nice to each other. Treat others as you desire them to be treated to treat you. That was 2,000 years ago, if you believe the stories. Okay, he had 12 people that basically formed the core of what he's up to, of what he was up to. 2,000 years later, we're looking at this. Somebody dropped the ball. Now, I've been through this world several lifetimes saying the same thing. Okay, coming back with the idea that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Well, 2,000 years ago, that gentleman had 12 people. Right now, we've got 622. That's a little more. Okay, but it's going to take effort. The nice part about it, well, I am glad to hear that, Joe. The thing is, this stream, from my standpoint, has always, and I agree with Steve. Steve goes, you're among friends here, Joe. Absolutely. I mean, I watched one guy come in here one day, first, and this is months ago now. He walks in, and his first comment when he got in the room was, what a bunch of trolls. Because there was a whole pile of cross chatter going on, which I don't have a problem with. Okay. But almost everybody in the room landed on him, right? And essentially chased him out of the room before I even had a chance to say anything. This is the kind of supportive community we've got here, and that I personally can see evolving in the world around us. It's going to take effort. It's going to take work, but we can make it happen. Okay. Every time I say that, I get thinking about this show back in, I think it was late 70s, early 80s. You can do it, Duffy Moon. Some of you may remember it. Okay. That was back when they had movies and sitcoms and shows on that had a positive note. Trust me, Joe, I'm the last person to take that judgment from. Although I have been told by several shrinks that I'm absolutely fine, aside from one heck of a vocal temper. I don't deal well with problems. And where are we here? Oh, we are down to that. The neat little part about all this, and yeah, I just noticed that. I just got to take a little closer look at it. Am I right? I am. There we go. Okay. Now, guys, I'm just noticing we're under. Yeah, I just spotted that there, LA. With that in mind, guys, thank you so much. I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me. For sharing your time with us. I really appreciate it. I know working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. With that in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. Now, this is Friday, so tomorrow we will be dealing with individual techniques and tactics to really look at your life on an individual level. So absolutely bring your questions with you. I'll be more than happy to target them. With that in mind, I will be back, but until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.